Let me just say, before I start my 5-minute special order, Mr. Speaker, I concur with what my colleague from Texas, Mr. Poe, just said. There are innumerable crimes that are being committed by people who are illegal aliens, and he's absolutely correct. We've got to secure that border, and we need to do whatever's necessary. And the President of the United States has a responsibility to protect that border, and he needs to get on with it. States like Arizona and other states are very concerned about what's going on. There's a sign 80 miles north of the Mexican border in Arizona that says, "Don't go south of here because it's not safe." That's unconscionable. The American people should not have to worry when they're in their own country about terrorists or criminals coming across the border from another country to kill them. So I'd just like to say to Mr. Poe, I really appreciate your comments. Let me just say, in my special order, there was a book called A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. It said it was the best of times and it was the worst of times. I heard some of my colleagues on the other side saying earlier tonight that we really ought to do something about extending the tax cuts that are in place that were put there during the Bush administration. We really need to do that. If you're one of the 10% that are unemployed or one of the 15 or 16% that are unemployed or unemployable right now, you realize how really bad it is. We live in the greatest country on the face of the earth, in the history of the earth, so from that standpoint it's the best of times. But for those who are out of work and struggling right now, it's the worst of times. I had town meetings this past week, and I can't tell you how many people told me how bad it was and how soon they were going to lose their jobs, or their husbands or wives had lost their jobs and they're suffering. And so what we need to do is we need to take the steps necessary to bring about economic recovery. And as I've said many times on this floor, when Ronald Reagan took office in the early 80s, he came in and instead of raising taxes, he cut taxes. And we had 20 years of prosperity. We had 12% unemployment and 14% inflation. And what happened was, he came in, and when they said he had to raise taxes in order to get the economy moving, and he did just the opposite, the economy took off. And that's what we ought to be doing today. And if I could talk to the President, and I know I can't because I'm here on the floor, I would say, Mr. President, look at history. Look at John F. Kennedy, a great Democrat president, and look at Ronald Reagan, who I think was the greatest Republican president in our lifetime, and see what they did to bring about economic recovery. And that is cut taxes, cut government spending, move the country in the right direction, even if it's just for a couple of years that we have the tax cuts in place. But right now is the wrong time to be increasing taxes or letting the Bush tax cuts expire. And I don't want to be political, but I think I have to say to my colleagues who may be paying attention in their offices right now, there will be a price to be paid in about 6 weeks for those who don't heed the message that's coming from the American people. They want economic recovery, and they understand what needs to be done, and they're going to hold those of us who don't listen to them accountable on November the 2nd. And with that, I yield back the balance of my time.